Dante's discussion.
Welcome back to another edition of Dante's Discussion Questions. That's right, where I ask you a question to answer so that you can see it live-ish on YouTube. And of course, the question is about Dark Souls 3, and it's about weapons, and I will get into it in a little bit. Let me just take a little bit of what I like to consider a poison mushroom. There we go. Let me get a little bit more tiny here. Let's go in the corner here. But anyways, basically what I want to talk about was, my question to everybody is, what weapon or weapons or whatever you use, what is the most interesting or best or craziest combo you've seen or done, or you like to do, or you like to trick people into? I mean, there are true combos, which are combos that happen if you press the proper buttons in a row. They always hit. True combos always hit. But there are also combos that aren't true, but they will normally hit because a lot of times people mash circle to panic roll. So there's also that, and then I'm sure there's also other combos that are just crazy that maybe you just got luckily or something happened, and I want to know them all. Please let me know them all. Put it in the comments below to be featured in next week's answers video. I just wanted to go through a few that I know, and I know one thing I've learned in this game is that I definitely don't know all the combos. In fact, I probably know the least amount of combos than most people, because that's not generally how I play. I don't play for combos. I don't play for these quote-unquote gimmicks. I don't think they're gimmicks. I think combos are actually pretty good in this game. So, I mean, there's certain things I like to try to do, and this weapon is no exception. I mean, if you hit somebody once, you can combo into that, and you can get 3 hits in. If you just normally do that, you can get 4 hits, or you can go for the 1, 2. Well, that doesn't work, actually. I've tried that. That one doesn't work. But you can go for the 1, 2, and then the jump, I believe, works. You can't get 3 chops and then a jump. I believe this works. You do one of these. The two hits, not the jump. So, I don't know. It's interesting. Certain things work, but then there's a lot of things that don't work. And I just want to go through a few of them. Now, that's like a very simple, basic combo, that one. But there are other combos that do work out a little bit better. So, for instance, all right, let's just take... I don't even know if I can wield this, but let's take the Ring Knight. This is, you know, obviously a newer, slorpier type of weapon here. But the combo is, you do this, you press L1, L1, but then you press R1 at the end, and it's a roll catch. It mostly roll catches everybody because people panic roll. You don't want to do the L1, L1, and then L1 again, because you'll jump up in the air and you'll probably get backstabbed or something. That doesn't really hit that often, but 2 L1s and then an R1 roll catches a lot of people because it's just perfectly slow enough that you'll panic roll, and you'll panic roll right into it. I mean, that's just yet another example. I mean, here's the classic example. This is probably one of the earliest, if not the first, and still sort of even one of the best combos. So you just do regular 2 R1s, and then you do an R2, and people usually try to roll away. If they roll close, you generally hit them, and you don't want to roll close anyway because you can get hit by another R1. So usually people panic roll away, and this has a ridiculous range. It's almost double of what the weapon is, because I don't know if it's the connection, or I don't know if it's not dedicated servers, or whatever the hell it is, but it's ridiculous how far that goes. So that's one of those classic combos. But there are certain combos that a lot of people might not even know. Now, I learned a lot from some people who just were testing out weapons, and there's certain combos that I've seen happen. So now Balihar has an interesting combo. So Balihar, well, you have to have the shield out. You can't one-hand it. So with Balihar, if you don't know, the block animation starts really quickly. So you block just about any weapon, I think, except for certain great clubs or great hammers can break through this in one shot. I think Vorts or something. Either way, it doesn't matter. So most weapons you can block at least the first hit, and then you get your hit in. Granted, hyper armor is going to ruin this, but it's not for hyper armor. Clearly, you know how to use this weapon. So, anyways, you block through the first attack, so then you get the second attack. But here's where things get interesting. So you do R1, R1. You do the jumping attack, but that's not the combo. So let's go through it yet again. R1, R1, jumping attack. Then, didn't work there. Then you do the weapon art R1. So R1, R1, jumping attack. And of course I couldn't do it. R1, R1. Son of a bitch. R1, R1. R1, R1, jump attack, then weapon art, and because the weapon art is such a lunge forward, I've seen this hit people into great effect. Actually, I've seen it multiple times, and it's a sick combo. Now, this is basically relying on panic rolling and sort of rolling away. I'm not sure how well it works if the person rolls into you. It might still work because the tracking is okay on this, but it's an awesome, I mean, really just that 3 combo anyway. So what's cool is you block on the first one, and then when you do the jumping attack, you also block on that. So this weapon is like really interesting, and it's pretty good. Its range is a little bit limited, which is the problem with it. But if you can use this to trade with a lot of weapons that are smaller, it is pretty intense. So I mean, there are also classic straight swords are just really good. So this is another combo people may not know. That's really quick. So you do the weapon R2, and then you do the R1, and it's super quick right afterwards. That's sort of a combo right there. A lot of people don't expect. I'm not sure if that's a true 2-hit or not, but yeah, that's a combo nonetheless. Actually, Goddards have pretty... Really, it's just the fact that these are extremely long. So if you just sort of do L1, you can do an R1, L1, and then there's a lot of weird things you can do with that weapon. All right, anyways, Hollow Slayer is interesting, but it's not like what I would say an interesting combo. Seen a lot of people try to use this weapon, the Baron Greatsword. So you do that, and then you just do an R1 instead of, you know, flopping around, or you do 2 and then you do an R1, and then it might be a roll catch because people expect you maybe to do the jumping attack. That's another interesting one. I mean, there's certain weapons that are extremely good at roll catching, and one of them is the Pontiff curved greatsword. Now, it's not necessarily a combo, but it sort of is because it's hitting pretty quick succession. So, you know, you get your 2 hits, and then you just sort of follow close, and you let go. Follow close. Well, running attack doesn't really work. And actually, you need to stop. So you need to run, stop, and then R1. And then usually you can get a roll hit on this, especially since the range on this thing is pretty ridiculous. That's not necessarily a true combo. There's a lot of combos I have seen with the Demon Scar. So now what's interesting is this casts Pyromancy. So you do 2 R1s, and then you cast the Dark Burst. I always forget what the hell it's called, and a lot of times it roll hits people because the what was I gonna say? That spell has interesting range sometimes. So there's also I think it's the Exile. Is the Exile one? Exile might be the one where you do 1 R1, and then that's like a combo. I don't think you get the whole thing, but you definitely get like 3 hits in, and that's pretty interesting. A lot of these are pretty interesting on the roll punish aspect. One of my favorites, all right, this is one that I love doing, and it doesn't hit all the time, but it does hit for people who don't expect it. So this weapon has crazy range, the Man Serpent Hatchet. I think this also works for the Butcher's Knife as well because of the range, but you hit them from pretty far away, and then you just immediately do a jumping attack because people usually... If they panic roll, they might be able to get out of it because rolls are amazing in this game, and you can basically double roll. Or they don't panic roll, and then they try to roll out of it because they think it might be just a regular another R1, but the jumping attack is slower, so they do get hit by it. You know, the 2 R1s and the jump. I love jumping attacks. Trying to bring it back. It was awesome in Dark Souls 2. Not as great in Dark Souls 3. Fun fact. There are interesting combos with the Winged Knight. I'm not sure exactly what the combo is because I haven't really used this. But a lot of them require you to, like, I'm trying to do the damn attack, but I don't know this weapon, like, at all. It's like you do the smash down, and if you hit somebody once with this, so I think the combo is sort of like it's R1, L2, and then you smash down because it's just slow enough, and the range is very strange. I'm trying to see. Again, I don't know all the combos. This is what I want you guys to tell me. Tell me where the combos are. Tell me what's your favorite combo. Even if it's just a interesting 2-hit. I mean, it's obviously has to be 2 or more hits because you can't combo with 1 hit, right? It could be like a bait thing though, which is interesting. Either way. So yeah, I mean, tell me some interesting combos. There's a lot of things here. I think the heavy spiked mace might have a R1 into weapon arm, maybe. Not sure. The great hammers are freaking terrible though. I do know that the partisan is actually pretty decent. The damage is lacking with the partisan, but it's pretty decent. I believe you can get this weapon art, which does have hyper armor. The problem is the damage is, it's abysmal. It's pretty sad actually. Let's see. There's not a lot of combos. And we have the split leaf. I'm sure a lot of people know about the split leaf. So do the R1. Why didn't that work? And then that hits. You don't, as far as I've seen, you don't get the full combo. You might, but I think a lot of times you can roll out of that last hit, but it's still nasty. You do it right. Oh, the damage on that thing is freaking real. And halberds have a lot of those interesting, really high damage type things. I mean, one of the first big combos I've seen in this game was the Black Knight Glaive. So you do this, and then you basically just do that, and you got... Really, the combo with the Black Knight was that. It wasn't that R2. I just keep hitting the R2 because I'm dumb. Anyways, it's the R1, L2, and then R1, and that I believe is a true combo if you get the hit off. It's pretty interesting. Oh, here's the Crucifix of the Mad King is one of the new champions of the combos. Not necessarily because the combo is so spectacular, but because the damage is so spectacular. Of course, you have to have the proper build to make it super dark damage, but geez, I don't even know. Like, I haven't used this. Okay, so that's what it is. It looks like it's, you get the R1, which you do have hyper armor. So you get the R1, you do the L2, and then you do the R2, and then the damage on that is pretty disgusting because the range is pretty decent with it, and you have hyper armor, so it's pretty gross. There are certain combos that are pretty mean. So now Goddards is one of these interesting ones. Not many weapons. Goddards might be one of the only ones that has sort of a impossible to get away from combo. So firstly, if you get somebody with the champion charge and you spin, you knock them over if you hit them, right? Now, if you have the timings right, which I know someone who gets, it's like 50%, they get this combo where they knock the person down, and then as they're getting up, they do another champion charge, and they knock them down again. They get the infinite combo, which is extremely cheap. And they can do it like, not, like I said, 50% of the time they get it again. And it's so ridiculous, and it does a lot of damage. There might be some combos with offhand weapons. That's one thing I've actually seen a little bit. I'm sure I've missed a few combos, but one thing I've seen is I've seen something like Yorm's great, I'm sorry, where is it? Yorm's great machete, and then in an offhand I've seen, where is it? I've seen a lot of interesting offhand weapons like daggers and such, but one of the best ones I've seen was the I believe it was the S-Stock. So basically what it is, it's you sort of throw out a fake sort of S-Stock attack, you bait him into trying to attack you, you do the hyper armor, you get 2, and then you get sort of the roll hit, because the S-Stock has a very strange range, and they don't want to roll into you because you have the S-Stock and because you have Yorms, which also has hyper armor. So like you do a fake and then you go twice and then you just do it right away, and a lot of times it hits, and it's pretty nasty. I mean, that combo is pretty disgusting. I've seen it hit a lot of times. But anyways, as you've seen here, please let me know what interesting combos you've seen. I mean, mage, there's mage or bows. I've seen people roll punish people with bows, or roll punish people with bombs or knives, or whatever the case may be. Just put it in the comments below to be featured in probably not next week, 2 weeks episode, in 2 weeks, because I want to gather some more information on this, because I think combos are really cool in this game. A little bit limited because rolls are so good, so that's why they're sort of more interesting in this game, because roll punishing is much harder to do in this game because rolls are so damn good. So put it in the comments below. Tell anyone you know, ask anyone you know. I really want to see if I can get a lot of comments here. I'm going to try to hit up Fex for Life or Reddit or whoever. Just help me on this one, because I think combos are really cool, and it's a lot of times, even if it's a ridiculous like 8-hit combo, which is extremely rare and never happens, like I want to hear about it. Let me know what weapon, how you used it, what combination you used it, if you staggered your hit a little bit to get that, you know, 3rd or 4th hit, or how'd that work out, or did you hold the R2? I mean, that's after. Here's one last one I'll show. I think it's the Great Club. All right, so it's the Great Club, which everyone knows. The Great Hammers are terrible. I don't care what anyone says, but everybody knows that the R2 is something to be feared because of the range. And if you're trying to stay close, you're probably going to get hit with it, because if you hold this and then you immediately do an R1, I mean, that's pretty fast. That combo is pretty awesome, and it has super hyper armor. So that is a decent combo, but again, you know, if you want to beat them, you just stay away. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about combos here. Put it in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think, and I will be back.